Alright, my name is Hammer Trinidad, and I believe water is wet.
I'm Parker, and I think that water is wet.
My name is Chaz Sun, and water is most definitely wet.
And I'm Joey Trout, and I believe water is not wet.
I'm Brady, and I know the water is not wet.
My name is Hannah Reynolds, and water is not wet.
So like, the definition of wet is covered or saturated with water or another liquid.
So covered in water, right?
Yeah, so
So
water
it's something
is
that's
covered-
dry that is covered in water, right?
Water is covered with water.
Can
So,
water
like,
be dry?
Can water be dry?
Yeah.
Like water, I mean, no.
To say something is wet means that you can dry it. And water itself, you cannot dry water from water.
Wetness is a scale from dry all the way to wet. Water is higher up on this scale because it produces that wetness, while fire exists in the scale from cold to hot. And fire produces heat in the same way that water produces wetness.
What do you mean? That doesn't say it has to be
Water
dry.
is not covered in water, it's water.
Water can be covered in
I
water.
cannot be covered in myself.
Wet is an adjective, whereas water is a noun. You would say, is water wet? Is the school blue? Not is blue school.
Well, if water is made up of a bunch of H2O molecules, and there's a single H2O molecule, and everything that surrounds it is also H2O molecules, therefore it is covered in water. Water is wet.
Wet, so like water has water molecules in it. So like if you stick your hand inside of water, your hand is wet.
Right. Because
So water
it
is
can
wet.
be dry. Can fire be covered in fire? What
Yes,
is
fire is hot.
How
So
can-
like
yeah, fire is hot, but
yeah.
can fire be covered in fire?
If fire is
It's
hot,
just fire. It's just one thing of fire. You cannot cover fire with more fire. It's just a fire.
Can you fight fire with fire?
No.
If fire can be hot, then water can be wet.
That's literally two different things.
Because water has to be wet, because it produces wetness. In the same way that fire has to be hot, because it produces heat.
Okay, yes, water does produce wetness, but water is not wetness.
Oil is a liquid, so if it's on something that can be dry,
Well, therefore, if you touch something that wet, your hand will become wet. So if you touch water, your hand becomes wet. So
Yes.
therefore, the water is wet.
the water makes things wet. Water itself cannot be wet.
This is all, man. I'm getting my I'm getting slapped over here. I don't know what I'm doing.
So is water wet?
Maybe.